From villain to heroine. The day my CEO boss, George Cole, finally got a girlfriend, I was somehow cast as the villain in their love story. His new flame, a girl in a little white dress with a matching flower tucked in her hair, dropped to her knees before me, sobbing. "You must be Mr. Cole's secretary," she wept. "Please, I'm begging you, give him back to me. We're the ones who are truly in love." I nearly jumped out of my skin. It's true, I was George Cole's secretary. But I was also a bona fide genius, a national award winner who held the company's core tech in the palm of her hand. And most importantly, as God is my witness, there was absolutely nothing going on between George and her. The moment the girl, Lily Evans, hit the floor, every head in the open plan office snapped in our direction. The silence was so thick, the second-hand embarrassment so profound, you could have cut it with a knife. But Lily seemed oblivious, practically glued to the carpet as she wailed at me. "Ma'am, George and I are soulmates. If you keep clinging to him, it won't end well for you." I stood frozen, feeling like a lightning bolt had just struck me square on the head. Soulmates? Clinging? Not ending well? Nowhere in my employment contract for Cole Corporation did it say I'd have to moonlight as the evil rival in some bargain bin romance drama. George's brow furrowed as he reached down to pull her up. "Lily, what on earth are you talking about? Sophia and I have a purely professional relationship." Lily promptly collapsed into his arms, her face a mask of beautifully tragic tears. "Don't lie to me, George, I know everything. I know that Sophia is the heiress to the Reed fortune. She gave up the life of a socialite to be your secretary. If it's not for love, what other reason could there be?" My jaw just about hit the floor. What in the world was she talking about? Sure, the wealthiest family in the state was named Reed, but what did that have to do with me, a small-town girl who'd fought her way out of obscurity with nothing but scholarships and a brain that ran on pure grit? My family tree, for 3 generations back, was nothing but honest, blue-collar workers. The only reason I was standing in this high-rise office was because I'd studied myself half to death to become the top scholar in my state, which earned me a generous scholarship from George's parents. After fast-tracking my PhD and bringing a multi-million-dollar national grant project with me, I was working for George for a fraction of my market value, simply to pay back their kindness. And somehow, in her mind, that twisted into a story about a secret heiress slumming it for love? With an imagination like that, she was wasting her talent. She should be writing scripts for melodramatic web series. George looked just as baffled, trying to find some logic in her fantasy. "Where are you hearing this nonsense? Sophia is just..." Lily clapped her hands over her ears, going into full la 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 L can't hear you mode. "Stop it, George. Don't say another word. Don't keep reminding me of the gap between her status and mine. Don't keep stabbing my heart with the cold, hard truth." As the audience of eavesdropping employees grew, George's handsome face began to flush with color. He gritted his teeth. "Then what do I have to do to make you believe that there is nothing between us?" Only then did Lily lift her tear-streaked face, clutching his sleeve. "George, are you blaming me? I'm not trying to pressure you. I know I'm not good enough for you, but I'm with you for you, not for your money. I love you, I really do," she sobbed. At that, George seemed to deflate, all his arguments and energy draining away. He waved a weary hand at me. "Sophia, you can go back to your desk." Granted a pardon, I immediately plastered on my professional smile. "Of course, Mr. Cole," I turned and walked away with crisp, efficient steps. I'd only taken 2 when Lily's trembling voice rose again behind me. "Mr. Cole? She called you Mr. Cole? George, I know what she's doing. She's reminding me that you're the powerful CEO, and I'm just a Cinderella from the slums. Will you get tired of me one day? Will you leave me?" And then I heard George, yet again, call my name. "Sophia." I turned back, resigned to my fate. "Yes?" He rubbed his temples. "From now on, in front of Lily, just call me by my first name." I blinked. "Are you serious?" Seeing my confusion, George added, deadpan, "Every time you call me, Mr. Cole, I'm docking your pay $200. My body reacted faster than my brain. I snapped to attention, my voice ringing out. "Yes, GE, George, roger that. The second I was out of the executive office, a few curious colleagues swarmed me, their eyes twinkling with gossip. Sophie, what was that all about? Mark, the head of the tech department, sidled up, a greasy grin on his face. Well, never took you for a secret heiress, Miss Reed, bravely chasing after your one true love. I slapped him squarely on the back. Heiress my foot, get your team together for a meeting, now. If we blow the pitch in 2 weeks, your entire department can pack their bags and get out. Mark's neck vanished into his shoulders as he scurried off to round up his people. Over the next 3 days, I have no idea what kinda deep, soul-searching conversation George had with Lily, but she stopped staging her PLEA's leave my boyfriend melodramas in front of me. However, she started appearing in the office like an NPC spawning at a set location, making the rounds to offer her unique brand of encouragement. You can do it, Kelly. You're the best. Keep up the great work, David. I believe in you. Don't forget to smile today, Sam. Life is beautiful. She even brought her fishbowl to the office and placed it in the most prominent spot on the reception desk, enthusiastically introducing her pet to everyone who passed by. This is my baby, Prudence. My phone is named Grace, my alarm clock is Hope, and my potted plant is Faith. The entire office was on edge. Productivity didn't increase, but the collective cringe was palpable. My days were now split between managing technical data, tracking project timelines, and fielding a flood of internal complaint emails about our new office mascot. It was seriously cutting into my actual work. I printed out every single email, bound them into a thick booklet, and slapped it down on George's desk. He flipped through a few pages, his face a kaleidoscope of emotions. Finally, he let out a long sigh and massaged his forehead. Notify finance. Starting this month, everyone in the executive office and the adjacent tech department gets their salary doubled. Chapter 2. With the money secured, my expression changed in a flash. I bowed slightly, my voice dripping with sycophantic praise. Thank you, boss. You, a genius, boss. Long live the boss. Before the words had even faded, the office door flew open with a bang. Lily rushed in, crying, clutching a small pot. George, my faith is dead. I'm so sad. I instantly wiped the grin off my face and backed out of the room, my expression a blank mask. Genius my ass. This raise was hazard pay, pure and simple. And we'd damn well earned it. A couple of days later, George's parents returned from their round-the-world trip and decided on a whim to visit the company. Fearing another one of Lily's episodes, George specifically assigned me to give his parents the tour. Just as I was explaining our latest technological breakthrough, Lily materialized out of a corner. When she saw the three of us standing together, her face went deathly white. Then, clutching her chest like a tragic heroine in a silent film, she crumpled to the ground. George, you lied to me. She stared at George, who had rushed to her side, and pointed a trembling finger at me. Your parents already approve of Sophia, and you told me there was nothing between you two. Mr. and Mrs. Cole had never seen a spectacle like this. They both stood there, utterly stunned. But Lily was completely lost in her own script. She staggered to her feet, a delicate white flower battered by a storm. The great Reed family and the Cole dynasty, joining forces. It sounds so perfect, doesn't it? George, should I congratulate you on your upcoming wedding? I couldn't take it anymore. If this went on, she'd have George and me with 3 kids and a mortgage. I didn't care if she ruined George's reputation, but she wasn't going to ruin mine. I strode forward, my face impassive, pulled my driver's license from my purse, and practically slapped it against her cheek. Miss Evans, look closely. My name is Sophia Reed. My father is Daniel Reed. My mother is Laura Reed. We have absolutely nothing to do with whatever billionaire Reed family you've cooked up in your head. I thought showing her my ID would finally bring this fantasy to an end. How naive I was. Lily's mind operated on a level of logic unknown to mortal man. As she stared at my license, her expression shifted from shock to confusion, and then to a sudden, breathtaking moment of enlightenment. It was a whirlwind of emotion. Then she spun to face Mr. and Mrs. Cole, her voice thick with a sense of profound injustice. "We're both Cinderellas, so why is she acceptable and I'm not?" The bewilderment on the Coles' faces was so intense it was almost a physical presence. George, looking like he was about to have an aneurysm, tried to pull her away. "Lily, stop this nonsense. Let's go," but she wrenched her arm free and charged toward us. "Mr. and Mrs. Cole, I know my background is humble, that I'm not worthy of George, but my love for him is real. Why can you accept Sophia, but not me? Is it because I'm not as pretty as her, or as capable?" Mrs. Cole, now genuinely annoyed by these bizarre accusations, frowned at her son. "George, what is going on? Explain yourself." Lily immediately jumped in. "No, Mrs. Cole, it's not George's fault. It's all my fault. Why did you dislike me the moment you saw me? Did Sophia say something bad about me to you?" She turned to me again, her tears making her look utterly pitiful. "Sophia, I know you love George, but you can't force love." I opened my mouth, feeling the helpless rage of someone being slandered in broad daylight. Thankfully, George managed to physically drag Lily away before she could write another chapter of her fan fiction. I rubbed my temples and let out a sigh of relief. When I turned around, I was met with two pairs of alarmingly bright eyes. Mrs. Cole grabbed my hand. "Sophia, dear, is it true? Are you really in love with our George?" Mr. Cole stood beside her, stroking his chin thoughtfully. "Well, we've watched Sophia grow up. We know what a wonderful girl she is. It's not out of the question." My world went dark. It was all over. My reputation, my image as a dedicated, no-nonsense professional, utterly destroyed by Lily Evans. It took every ounce of my persuasive ability to convince George's parents that Lily was delusional, not that I was harboring a secret crush on their son. They left the office looking visibly disappointed. For the next few days, I buried myself in the tech department, working overtime to avoid seeing George. Lily, surprisingly, stayed quiet for a while. The day before the project pitch, there was a long-scheduled industry gala that I had to attend with George. As I expected, Lily was there. She wore her signature white dress, trailing timidly behind George. The gala was filled with industry heavyweights, and several of them immediately cornered me. "Ms. Reed, I hear things have been a bit chaotic over at Cole Corp. Any interest in jumping ship to Sterling Industries? Sophia, our tech division has hit a wall. Would you do us the honor of consulting? Name your price." Ever since I'd joined Cole Corp with my nationally funded project, these executives had been relentlessly trying to poach me. They still hadn't given up. I was trying to think of a polite way to refuse when the event manager rushed over, looking panicked. The pianist they'd booked had a sudden medical emergency and couldn't make it. They couldn't find a professional replacement on such short notice, and the atmosphere was becoming a little awkward. After years of following George to these high-end events, I'd picked up a thing or two. I could play a simple piece to fill the silence. I took a step forward and said to the manager, "If you don't mind, I could." Before I could finish, Lily shot forward, her voice ringing with a strange indignation. "I can't play." Every eye in the room swiveled to her. I was confused. "Miss Evans, I was offering to play, not you." But Lily looked as if some righteous fire had been lit within her, her face flushing crimson. "Do you wealthy people have any idea what it's like for people like me? I grew up in the middle of nowhere. I've never even seen a grand piano, let alone had the chance to learn. You're all here, at this extravagant party, listening to piano music, while there are people in the world who can't even afford to eat." She grew more and more agitated, finally turning her fury on me, her eyes filled with condemnation. "Sophia, you came from nothing too. And now you're helping these vultures, you've forgotten where you came from. I, Lily Evans, look down on you." Chapter 3. A deep, bizarre silence fell over the entire ballroom. Everyone was staring at Lily as if she'd just beamed down from another planet. I stood there, feeling like I'd been struck by lightning, flash-fried, and my soul had left my body. Helping vultures? Forgotten where I came from? All because I could play the piano? Lily clutched the hem of her dress, cast one last disappointed look around the room, then covered her face and ran out. George didn't follow. Or rather, he couldn't. He was too busy managing the fallout, apologizing to the room full of vultures Lily had just insulted. By the time the gala ended, George was too drunk to walk straight. Resigned to my duties as his secretary, I took him to the five-star hotel where he usually stayed. I had just gotten the room key from the front desk when Lily appeared at the entrance, a ghost haunting the lobby. Her eyes were red-rimmed. Before I could say a word, she fixed me with a look that said, "I've seen through your evil plan," her voice trembling with defiance. "Sophia Reed, I know what you're doing. You want me to misunderstand your relationship with George, to fight with him. But let me tell you, I won't fall for your tricks. I trust George. He loves me." I closed my eyes. For that, at least, I was grateful. Lily clenched her fists, as if steeling herself for a great battle. "But I also know why he can't get rid of you. It's because of that project you control, isn't it? Just you wait. I'll show George that I can help him too. That I'm more useful than you are." Watching her storm off with that righteous fire in her eyes, a knot of dread formed in my stomach. The next day, George and I led our team into the long-awaited project bidding presentation. During the initial pitch, I dominated the room, showcasing the core technology we had developed. After a round of intense Q&A, winning the contract felt like a sure thing. But just as the lead representative was about to announce their decision, the conference room doors burst open with a bang. "Wait, I have something to say." Lily stood panting in the doorway, clutching a stack of documents. Ignoring the staff trying to stop her, she frantically directed the people behind her. "Quick, hand these out to everyone." Copies of the documents were shoved into the hands of the judges and our main competitors. One was thrust at me. My blood ran cold. It was our core technology detailed architectural diagrams, key algorithm parameters, and our final, confidential bid price. Lily stood at the podium, her voice clear and bright. "Everyone, we've laid all our cards on the table for you. Now you can feel the sincerity of the Cole Corporation, can't you? Please, you have to partner with us." The entire room was dead silent. I stood rooted to the spot, feeling the blood freeze in my veins. This project was my PhD thesis. It was the culmination of countless sleepless nights, the product of 2 years of relentless work from my entire team at Cole Corp. And now this fool had just handed it all away in the most idiotic, most humiliating way possible. She hadn't just destroyed a project, she had incinerated thousands of hours of our lives, our passion, our collective soul. A surge of pure, hot rage shot through me. All reason, all professionalism, shattered in that instant. I strode forward, and under the astonished gaze of everyone in the room, I raised my hand and brought it across Lily Evans's face with a resounding crack. Lily staggered back, clutching her cheek, tears instantly welling in her eyes. "George," she hit me, "but I was only trying to help you." George said nothing, but his face was a mask of utter devastation. My chest heaved. I pointed a trembling finger at Lily, but my eyes were locked on George. "George Cole, as the head of this project, I am formally suing Lily Evans for the theft and intentional leakage of core corporate trade secrets. And from this day forward, this company isn't big enough for the both of us. Either she goes, or I do." Chapter 4. When Lily heard my ultimatum, she froze for a second, then, as if a switch had been flipped, she erupted into a new, more spectacular round of sobbing. "George, so it was true all along. I was the third wheel." In that moment, the inferno of my rage was doused by the sheer absurdity of her logic. I almost wanted to applaud her. Her talent for self-delusion was truly world-class. The conference room was silent save for the sound of Lily's dramatic, hiccuping cries. The expressions on the faces of the judges and our competitors were a priceless mix of shock, barely suppressed laughter, and, in one case, the telltale glow of a smartphone recording the hula debacle. George's face had moved beyond pale. It was a shade of mottled, catastrophic gray. I didn't wait for his response. "Mr. Cole, you handle this mess," I said, my voice cold and steady. "As for the lawsuit and my resignation, we'll discuss it back at the office." With that, I turned to my devastated team. Let's go. Back at the company, a funereal gloom had settled over the tech department. The news had clearly traveled fast. The core engineers who had been with me for years had red eyes not from crying, but from pure, unadulterated fury. Sophie, all those years, one of the younger programmers choked out, unable to finish. I put a hand on his shoulder, a heavy weight in my own chest. Our work was desecrated. That's not our fault. Don't worry, I assured them. I will fight to get every single one of you the compensation you deserve. Just then, George returned, looking utterly defeated. Lily was nowhere in sight, probably stashed away somewhere to cry in peace. He walked straight into my office, his voice hoarse. Sophia? Former secretary, I corrected him without looking up. I slid a freshly printed resignation letter across the desk. Sign it, Mr. Cole. Also, here's my lawyer's card. He'll be in touch with the company's legal department regarding the lawsuit against Miss Evans. George stared at the letter, his hand trembling slightly. He didn't move. Sophia, I know Lily went way too far. The damage is done. But a lawsuit? She probably had no idea how important those documents were. You know how her mind works. He trailed off, then let out a bitter, humorless laugh. He rubbed his temples as if trying to keep his head from exploding, then picked up the pen and signed the letter. Tell me, Sophia, he said quietly, would you call this being blinded by love? I picked up my signed resignation, my ticket to freedom, and gave him a cool glance. Mr. Cole, I won't comment on your personal life. But from a business perspective, I paused. Out of respect for your parents, I'll consider taking on some of the company's tech maintenance contracts, on a case-by-case basis. Of course, my rates are high, but I guarantee you'll get what you pay for. George looked like he had just swallowed a bug. As I reached the door, I added one last thing. By the way, Mr. Cole, the next time I'm here, I expect a professional environment. No distractions, especially not from the ever-so-helpful Miss Evans. Walking out of the Cole Corporation building, the sunlight felt sharp and cleansing. The suffocating weight in my chest finally began to lift. On my first day of unemployment, I slept until noon. No waking up at dawn to prepare George's meeting briefs. No bracing for a surprise ambush from Lily. No sifting through emails filled with complaints about dead plants and office morale. It was glorious. I leisurely made myself a pour-over coffee. The moment I took the first sip, my phone began vibrating off the hook. 99 plus unread messages. A dozen missed calls. All from headhunters and the executives I'd spoken to at the gala. Mr. Sterling from Sterling Industries was the most direct, calling me immediately. Sophia, I heard you finally escaped that madhouse. Come to Sterling. The VP of Technology position is yours for the taking. Double your old salary, company car, penthouse apartment, build your own team. And most importantly, our office has good feng shui. We absolutely do not attract Cinderellas with screws loose. Mr. Davison from Apex Electronics was just as eager, sending a heartfelt message. Sophie, I heard about that disaster at Cole Corp. You didn't deserve that. Come work with me, my dear. Chief scientist. No fixed hours, name your own salary. All I ask is that you pop in occasionally to guide our less than brilliant project teams. Thanks to someone's live stream of the pitch-turned meltdown, even a few media companies tried to get in on the action. Ms. Reed, have you ever considered building a personal brand? That whole tech goddess slaying the drama queen vibe is pure gold for social media. We can package you as the icon of the new, independent woman. I had to laugh. Thanks, but I had no plans to become an influencer. I switched my phone to silent, and the world was blissfully quiet again. After a peaceful breakfast, I began methodically replying to the offers. Most I politely declined. For a few of the more interesting opportunities, I proposed a project-based collaboration. Now that I was a free agent, why would I ever chain myself to a desk again? Besides, charging by the project, I could earn more than I ever did before, with none of the drama. It was a win-win. Of course, I didn't forget about Cole Corp. That afternoon, I sent a proactive email to George's assistant, outlining a menu of technical support services I could provide. The attached price list featured numbers so dazzling they were guaranteed to make George's eyes water. Less than 30 minutes after I hit send, my personal cell phone rang. It was George. He sounded exhausted, but he still managed a weak attempt at humor. "Consultant Reed, this price list of yours, is this based on some new, hyperinflated industry standard I'm not aware of?" "You get what you pay for, Mr. Cole," I said cheerfully. "If you think it's too expensive, you can always find someone else. Perhaps the very eager Miss Evans? Maybe she can power your servers with the sheer force of her love." There was a 3-second pause on the other end. I could almost hear him inhaling through the pain of a migraine. "Send me your bank details. We'll go with your rates." He sighed. "Compared to the loss from the failed bid, it's a bargain." See? Once a man breaks free from the fog of a bad romance, his business sense comes roaring back. When the wire transfer notification hit my phone, my mood soared even higher. Meanwhile, back at Cole Corp, things had apparently descended into chaos. When Lily found out that I had really resigned and that George was actually proceeding with the lawsuit against her, she reportedly had a full-blown meltdown. Then, she launched her grand, disastrous, redemption tour. First, she marched into the tech department to boost morale, and in the process, almost shut down a server running critical code. Next, deciding the office atmosphere was too depressing, she bought dozens of colorful potted plants, all new faiths, and placed them everywhere, doubling the janitorial staff's workload. She even tried to give the marketing department a new slogan for their latest product, "Powered by Love, Illuminating Your World." The head of marketing tearfully begged George to make her stop. George's new full-time job, aside from cleaning up the catastrophic mess from the leaked project data and wiring me obscene amounts of money for consulting, was following Lily around the office, putting out the fires she started. According to my sources still inside, the once cool and aloof CEO now wore a permanent expression of weary resignation, a man who had seen too much. "Sophie," my friend whispered into the phone, as if she were a spy behind enemy lines, "do you think the stress finally broke him? Like, is his brain okay?" I couldn't help it. I burst out laughing. My new life was thriving. I turned down all full-time offers and founded my own tech consulting firm. I called it Nexus Innovations. Simple, modern, and to the point. On opening day, the flower arrangements sent by Mr. Sterling, Mr. Davison, and other industry titans lined the hallway from my office door all the way to the elevator bay. It looked like a Fortune 500 company launch. Mark, my former department head, along with a few other loyal engineers, had quit Cole Corp and joined me without a second thought. Our first major contract, as fate would have it, was for the very project Cole Corp had lost. The new client's project lead shook my hand, a knowing look in his eyes. "Ms. Reed, your former boss might have a few screws loose, but we have total faith in your technology." I texted a summary of that conversation to George. A long time later, he replied with a single, eloquent line of periods. The project progressed flawlessly, and the profits were intoxicating. Occasionally, I would deign to accept a contract from Cole Corp. Each visit was strictly business. I made appointments, signed in at the front desk, and swiped a visitor's pass. I billed by the hour, and if I went 1 minute over, the invoice was in George's inbox before I'd even left the building. The receptionist at Cole Corp started looking at me like I was a savior. My arrival meant that the dreaded Miss Evans would be banned from the premises for at least half a day, granting the entire company a few precious hours of peace. George's demeanor toward me now was one of utmost professionalism. One day, while I was performing an emergency security patch on their system, he was watching over my shoulder and suddenly asked, out of the blue, "Sophia, do you think it's too late for me to take some classes, learn some of this core tech stuff?" I didn't even look up from my screen. "Mr. Cole, with all due respect, your business acumen and management skills are top-notch, despite your once questionable judgment in personal matters. Why would you want to compete with us grunts? Just stay in your corner office, be the boss, and pay people like me to solve your problems. Isn't that easier?" He was clearly taken aback. Right, leave it to the professionals. It's just that the professionals are getting professionally expensive. I'll take that as a compliment. Inflation is a killer, you know. I hit the final keystroke with a satisfying tap. There, the vulnerability is patched. Total service time, 3 hours and 52 minutes. Billed for 4 hours. The invoice will be sent shortly. For a basic bug like this next time, I'd recommend hiring a full-time security engineer. It would be more cost-effective than calling me. George's mouth twitched. A full-time engineer wouldn't be as efficient as you. Fine, he sighed. How about a friends and family discount? I offered him a thin smile. Mr. Cole, we maintain a cordial ex-employer-employee relationship, as well as a thriving client-vendor partnership. Let's not complicate things by talking about friendship. It's better for both of us if we just talk about money. He looked like he wanted to argue, but couldn't find the words. Life continued in this new rhythm. Nexus Innovations raking in profits while Cole Corp stumbled along in a state of Lilly-induced chaos. Finally, the court date for the lawsuit arrived. The trial was, without a doubt, the single most surreal experience of my life. Lilly insisted on representing herself. The moment the judge declared the court in session, she shot to her feet, tears already streaming down her face before she'd spoken a word. Your Honor, members of the jury. Her voice was choked with the tragic grief of a woman fundamentally misunderstood by the world. I admit, I sent out those files. But it wasn't theft, and it wasn't a leak. It was a rescue mission. I was saving George and the Cole Corporation from a toxic influence. I was exposing the dark underbelly of office politics and breaking the chains of capitalism that were strangling true love. Me, my lawyer, the judge, 0.0. Ms. Evans, the judge said slowly, please confine your statements to the facts of the case. This only seemed to energize her. These are the facts. Sophia Reed used her position to psychologically manipulate George for years. She held him hostage with that project. I released the data to expose her for who she truly is, to set George free. It was an act of justice. I did it for love. She even tried to show the judge screenshots from her phone of an article titled, 108 Seduction Techniques for the Ambit IOUS Secretary. Your Honor, look, this is evidence. I'm sure she used every trick in the book. The judge's expression was a masterclass in strained neutrality. My lawyer was shaking so hard trying not to laugh, he looked like he was vibrating. I remained stone-faced, thinking only one thing. This lawsuit was worth every penny of the legal fees. In the end, while the court found it difficult to prove malicious intent mostly because Lilly seemed to genuinely believe she was the hero of the story, the crime of trade secret infringement was undeniable and the evidence was irrefutable. The court found Lilly Evans guilty, and given her apparent cognitive state and the massive financial damages she had caused, sentenced her to 1 year in prison, suspended for 2 years, and ordered her to pay a hefty sum in compensation to Cole Corporation. When the verdict was read, Lilly's eyes widened in disbelief. She couldn't seem to process it. How could this happen? She muttered. I was just fighting for my love. None of you understand? After the trial, George looked at the shell-shocked Lilly, sighed, and walked over to her. I'll pay the compensation for you, he said quietly. On one condition. You leave this city. Get a fresh start, live a normal life, and stop getting lost in your own head. Lilly looked up at him, her eyes brimming with fresh tears. George, are you abandoning me too? But I still believe, true love conquers all. George just rubbed his temples and walked away. He had probably, finally, learned that some people are beyond waking up. With Lilly the company's single greatest liability out of the picture, Cole Corporation slowly began to get back on its feet. The damage was severe, but the foundation was still strong. George threw himself into his work, becoming a soulless automaton of efficiency. I heard he'd developed a severe case of white dress PTSD, and would instinctively maintain a 10-foot distance from any woman wearing one. Months later, I ran into him at an industry summit. He looked much better, though there was a lingering shadow of someone who had been through a war. He saw me and walked over, raising his glass. How have you been? I smiled. Couldn't be better. Thanks to you. Business is so good, my hands are getting tired from signing contracts. And you're looking well, Mr. Cole, I added. There's a clarity in your eyes I haven't seen in a while. He laughed, a dry, self-deprecating sound. It came at a steep price. He paused, his tone becoming more serious. Listen, about all that insanity, I never properly apologized to you. And thank you for still being willing to help pull Cole Corp out of the fire. I'll always be grateful for what your parents did for me, I said honestly. But business is business. You're one of my VIP clients now, Mr. Cole. Keeping the client happy is just good policy. George chuckled. It's an honor to be one of your clients, Sophia. A very, very expensive honor. We clinked our glasses, sharing a smile. All the past chaos and drama seemed to melt away, transformed into a wild story we could someday tell over drinks. I heard later that Lily's relatives came and took her back to her hometown. She left with her dog-eared copy of a romance novel called The CEO's Defiant Love. Sometime after that, someone spotted her working in a small-town coffee shop, enthusiastically regaling the young Barry's Tasmania with her legendary tales of battling for love in the trenches of a global corporation. She told the story with such conviction that she had him completely captivated. As for me, Nexus Innovations became a powerhouse, our client list expanding overseas. Mr. and Mrs. Cole still call me sometimes, just to chat. They never brought up George and me again, they were just genuinely happy for my success. Once, Mrs. Cole confided in me, her voice low and conspiratorial. You know that boy of mine, George? All he does is work. Says he needs to save up to afford your consulting fees. I think that whole ordeal left a permanent mark on him. I leaned back in my chair, laughing. Sunlight streamed through the floor-to-ceiling windows of my office. On my screen, a new, multi-million-dollar contract had just been finalized. I took a sip of my coffee. I hadn't just torn up the villainous script they'd handed me. I'd used the scraps to write my own damn epic, a blockbuster where the heroine ends up with a thriving empire and a life of her own making. And it felt pretty damn good. The end, and that's a wrap on today's reading here at Booked for Drama. If you felt anything, rage, swoon, second-hand heartbreak, let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with your fellow drama lovers. If you have any requests, drop them in the comments. Until next time, keep reading, and keep the drama on the page.